if I understand your question, well, you ask me how do I personally navigate through things.
Yes.
First of all, what I do is that I first of all study the people I'm working with to understand their mindset individually, not collectively. I interact with them personally in different levels, such that I would know how to approach each and every one of them at any point. It gives me the temperament the person has, the type of understanding the person has, and then there are people that you don't correct publicly. And so personally, what I do is that I criticize privately and applaud publicly. And when people do things that are not in tandem with what the company wants, or that we will pose a challenge to the general public, I call them in, speak to them on what it is and the repercussion and then the implication of what it means, and in a very low tone. Um, I do that for more times. That's one or two times, three. If the person insists, and we have what we call um, progressive discipline from the company, where the person has to sign. You write what the person did, explaining, and the person signs and acknowledges that he or she did it. And first of all, is we'll do it. We'll go for what we call verbal warning, and we'll do a written warning, and then suspension if need be. And these particular things are being done not just to punish the person, but to maintain a serene environment, a habitable environment for everybody, which is very important. Because if people do things and go scot-free and everybody watch, that means we are breeding chaos. So like I said, first of all, I try to know who I'm working with and approach them individually. And
Mm.
then I also seek for feedback at all times.
So how has it helped you thus far?
I would say it's been positive, especially when it comes with a change. When you bring up something new or a new way of doing things, when you call them and explain to them personally before maybe sampling, trying to know their views before a general meeting, you'd be surprised at the criticism you would get. And so for me, it also helps to readjust whatever plan I have, getting the feedback from them. And when we come for the general meeting, it's simpler and it's easier, and people understand because we've talked about it occasionally and maybe one in one. When you come up to the meeting, it is just more of appraisal. We just talk about the how things are done, and the meeting seems to be easier than when you don't know what they think and when you don't understand how they think and then you just throw out something there, you get a backlash.
Hmm. So it's just about, I think it's about being emotionally intelligent to be able to know those you're working with and to be able to work with their level of tolerance, ability to take things. Would you agree with me on that?
Yeah, you're right.
Okay. Now, can you explain the place of emotional intelligence, speaking about how you are able to manage your emotions when it comes to, managing difficult conversations?
Emotional intelligence here comes to play by first of all being aware of your temperament.
Your temperament,
um
right?
yeah, first of all knowing who you are, because if you don't know who you are, the challenge is that you may not really know how best to navigate situations, so it becomes a big challenge. So and then knowing who you are, knowing how you react to things gives you a leverage, to plan and to know how to navigate through difficult times during the discussions. Because people have to act from where they are and from where they're coming from. If they're angered before they came to work, you don't expect them to just throw it away. And so emotional intelligence comes into play, having a mental perception of what things might look like and deciding consciously to maintain a calm. and then to listen. And then still standing at the middle to dish out what you want to pass on to them. Very important.
So that's how you try to manage your emotions so that they will not be able to read you, even though you're not happy, even though what they did is so bad and all of that.
Yeah, because I think that at this point, it's very important to point out that when it comes to workplace and work area, people don't take things personal. People don't take things personal, because after work there is life, and at the workplace, the duty of whoever is the leader is to make sure that whatever the stakeholders or whoever is in charge has laid on your shoulders, that is being passed, and that things are done the right way. So when people react and do things, it is in the place of the leader or whoever's in charge to maintain a decorum, knowing that he's just an instrument of communication and not taking it personal. And it's also very important that at this point, you know that whatever happens in there, that you don't take it personal, you don't hit on them or attack the person personally. Emotional intelligence also means that at any given point, you don't derail. You don't derail. You stand at a particular position. When they hit you emotionally, you still stand at a particular position and still state a fact. Because the challenge is sometimes people might go to the dark side by insulting people, saying things personal about them. But emotional intelligence also plays a greater impact on the group, knowing that no matter what is happening, you are just here to stand and to communicate whatever the company holds to give them. And so don't take it personal.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Now, let's look at where you have to be called into a conversation as a leader and your workers have issues and you have to mediate. What would you advise whoever is in such a situation? What would you advise them to do in order not to sound biased?
For every organization or for every engagement, that's what I call it the rules of engagement. Wherever you come into an organization, you set the rules right. Because I think where we have more challenges is when people don't have a clear view of what they are expected to do, of who is who, of who takes charge of things. Number one. So I would rather say we'll go back to the drawing board in this type of situations. When things like this happen, I think there's a challenge. Either that people don't really know what they're expected to do, or what their responsibilities is, or the repercussion of what they do. During meetings, when you reiterate what the company stands for, the goal of the company, the hierarchical structure of the company, the values and what we intend to give, I think we wouldn't get to the point of mediating. Or when we get to that point, mediation becomes easier because the person understands from where you're coming from. So when the point of mediation comes, what you just do is to reiterate what they already know. For whoever is mediating, if the people he's mediating to already has a foreknowledge of what they are expected to do. So at that point of mediation, it is more of clarity.
Mm.
I don't know whether I answered the question.
No problem. Okay, so as we round up, do you have any final word, any advice for anyone who is choked right now? And choked in what sense? That the person is dealing with such situation and does not know the way around it. Of course, you shared your experiences. You gave you told us how you would handle it. But for someone else, what works for you might not work for them. So do you have any other thing aside from what you said already that could be of help to anyone watching right now?
Okay, I would conclude with saying that workplace is usually challenging, knowing that people come from different backgrounds, having different experiences, different um, challenges from home, and then they come into a particular setting. And then somebody might be angry from home, and then little thing will spark off something. So I would rather suggest that at every point, whoever is at the helm of affairs should create a safe space where people can come to him or her to talk, to say out their minds. That's number one. Number two, to create an avenue for consistent meeting where people can come and say what is wrong. Because sometimes um, things, when people don't say what happens and they bottle it up at a point, they just blow off. So I would rather say that constant meeting will also help so that whoever is being choked can say his mind or her mind. Um, I will also suggest something, we'll call it team integration, where outside work, people can meet and cheer up. You can, once in a blue moon, have a picnic together, where it's called more of team bonding, where people meet, cheer up, talk, and then sometimes talk about those things that they don't feel comfortable with in a neutral environment, where the person, and sometimes even the leader, will be told a lot of things in passing when they create that kind of atmosphere, so that when they come back to the workspace, um a smart person will pick out where he or she is wrong and where he's right. That's a little suggestion I would give.
Okay, thank you so much for that. And it's wonderful having you. It's been wonderful conversation. I've learned one or two things from you. And we're grateful for having you. To you
Thank you
out
so
there.
much, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and to you out there, thank you too for being part of this show. I hope and believe that you've been able to learn one or two things. Managing difficult conversations can be very excruciating, but it is very important that you have your own style. And just like Greg said, create an environment where people can actually express themselves. And also as a leader, be open to, difficult things that are hard, be open to receiving a feedback, either positive or negative, because at the end of the day, you're also working on yourself. Until next time, when I come your way again with another exciting edition of Let's Talk. Be safe.